money have a factor in you just being like, I guess, a trad wife?
What do you mean? Like,
does your husband make really good money?
Yeah, so he makes really good money.
Okay.
He provides for the family.
Okay.
I don't have to worry about money whatsoever.
Now, if you were with a man that didn't make good money, would you still be that?
Yes, I would. I don't think that's everything, but I do think, like, as women, we're looking for a provider and a protector, and since my husband fully provides for me and my daughter, I'm able to fully walk in my role as a woman, being feminine, being able to take care of the home and being a homemaker. So I'm happier because I'm able to correctly walk in my role.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into why women can't stand marriage anymore and why men have completely stopped chasing women. If you're ready to hear the hard truths about modern relationships, then make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you never miss out on the real talk.
No-fault divorce is basically a way of saying, we are no longer trying to put any pressure on you to stay together. You don't even have to give a justification for splitting up. It's a lot easier to get out of a marriage contract than it is to get out of any other contract. That's really bad because of all the things that we were trying to avoid by regulating marriage in the first place. Right. This isn't a point that's callous to the difficulties of marriage, by the way. There are lots of studies that suggest that couples who have serious difficulties but decide to stay together 5 years later, right, in the majority of cases, are very happy. Right. So it could be even for the couple's own good. In fact, when I invite people to my wedding, part of what I'm doing is inviting them to put pressure on me to stay together. The idea is the community has an interest in this, it's invested in this, and we, as well as the community, have an interest in the community encouraging us to stay together. We do that partly through culture and partly through law, and no-fault divorce is a direct repudiation of that.
In today's world, let's face it, most women reject men because they don't look like pretty boys, don't have status, or are too kinda nice. But the truth is, things aren't going to improve until both sides wake up and realise we actually need each other. As men, we're not asking for much, just some basic decency and to be treated without the constant put-downs. Ladies, here's a challenge for you. Look in the mirror and ask yourself what you can do to make yourself more marriageable, because men are out here working on themselves too. I came across something recently that hit the nail on the head. Marriage used to be like a parachute. It safely landed a family on solid ground. But ever since no-fault divorce showed up, that parachute now has a 50% chance of failing. And it's probably been sabotaged from the start. Ask yourself, would you, as a reasonable man, jump out of a plane with a parachute that's torn apart, knowing it might not open? Would you risk everything for a broken system? Exactly, no man in his right mind would. So why would we board that flight just for some thrills and promises from failed institutions?
Reason being is because the really emotionally connected woman who's super loyal and super loving, she can't be with a man who's super busy. She can't do it. She's too anxious. She misses him too much. She needs him home all the time. She needs predictability. She needs stability. She wants a home. She wants you to help her put the kids to bed at night. Whereas the woman that's like, yeah, you can go on business trips for a couple of months. Yeah, you know, I'll see you when I see you. She tends to be a bit more emotionally detached. So what happens is that man ends up not having his emotional needs met at work, and sometimes they can be missed at home as well.
Listen up. After years of shouting about being empowered, independent and not needing men, it always ends the same way, with tears and regret. Women have been fooled into making bad life choices, chasing careers, embracing promiscuity, and ending up in failing marriages. When are they going to stop deceiving themselves? If women want equality, they need to understand what they're asking for. Equality means being treated like men, and that involves working alongside men in the toughest jobs, not just sitting comfortably in office chairs. You want the same respect? Put in the same work.
At the end of the day, everybody wants, right? It's a natural human emotion. Everybody has it. It's just in a way and a matter of how much you have it and like who you're having it with.
Do you think that you have a right to?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because it's my reproductive right. It was given to me to do, to have children.
What's the purpose of?
To have children.
Arguably, has two purposes. A, create new human life, which I think our society has forgotten about. B, emotionally bond with the person that you're having sex with. That's what your brain is designed to do. Every time that you have sexual intercourse, your brain releases oxytocin and it makes you feel emotionally bonded to that person, which is why hookup culture is so damaging, because it's not transactional. It's not supposed to be transactional. It's supposed to be bonding. I think that line of thinking is what's led to an extremely pro-abortion culture. I think that's what's led to an extremely pro-hookup culture. I think that's what's led to women being stuck in this zone and men being stuck in a zone of not being able able to have a meaningful...
Here's the cold hard truth. Women bought into the fantasy of feminism, believing they'd live lives filled with luxury, wealth, world travel, designer handbags, and countless men at their feet. But they never considered the expiration date on that dream, the moment they hit the wall. Once they crossed that line, the illusion shattered, leaving them wondering why men stopped chasing them. They were too busy climbing corporate ladders, ignoring the natural desire for family. But here's the thing. You can't beat nature. You can't escape reality. The chase ends when men stop playing the game.
One thing I noticed too about just dealing with women in America too is just like they're so borderline domineering, trying to control everything when I'm with them, and I'm just like, yo, like, are you trying to emasculate me? Like, are you aware of what you're doing? Like, do people are people tolerate this? Like, I call them out. I'm like, maybe it's your first time. This is not working. Like, you need to know your place when you're talking to a guy like me.
Do you think they don't know though?
They
have
really
they
don't.
Lost touch?
They have
Nature assigned roles for men and women for a reason, and the sooner women accept that, the better off they'll be. Now they're waking up to the reality that the dream of feminism was nothing but a fantasy. They thought men were just handed money without effort, so they fought for the right to just show up. Now they're shocked to discover that men were out working hard the entire time they were fighting for this illusion. Honestly, I don't feel sorry for any woman who claims she was tricked into feminism. You weren't tricked, you just didn't see the reality.
Is a breakdown, a fundamental breakdown right now that's happening in society. And some of that deals with the way a lot of these women, and some men, but a lot of these women that we see on the panels talk about the fluidity of their sex. And by the way, on that, I mean, I don't mean, wow, that could be totally misinterpreted what I just said. Ooh, what did I exactly mean? Double entendre. What I mean is that the fluidity with which they have sex with everyone and everything that walks, not good. You know, this hyper promiscuity, this female promiscuity is empowerment, this, you know, Sex in the City / Kardashian-esque culture that we now embrace as young people in society. That's all bad. That's all bad. So that's leading people down this dark hole of degeneracy.
Women knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted things their way, just like a toddler throwing a tantrum when they don't get what they want. Don't buy into this whole equality narrative. They can't even admit that they chose this path. And when it doesn't work out, there's always someone or something else to blame. They push men away, then sit there wondering where all the good ones have gone. Sorry, but you drove them away and now you're left wondering why they're not coming back.
Female hyper users of Instagram are also, they're sadistic, Machiavellian, psychopathic, and narcissistic, and they optimize for short-term mating strategies. So they're promiscuous, and that's a marker for antisocial behavior. So antisocial people, broadly speaking, have more sexual partners. They start engaging in sex earlier. They're more callous in their utilization of themselves and others.
Would you call that toxic femininity? Is there such a thing as toxic femininity?
We know what toxic femininity is. It's the female version of antisocial behavior is reputation savaging. Yeah, gossip, innuendo, backbiting, and females can be very good at that. Now, men can do that too, and they do, especially on social media. But it's definitely the case that social media enables female antisocial type behavior. Clearly, feminine pathology scales magnificently on social media. God only knows what the consequence of that's going to be.
Look, women have been raised to think they can have it all, that the world owes them everything. The reality? They're hitting their 30s and getting desperate, wondering why no man wants to commit to them. They're looking for tall, handsome, wealthy guys without realizing they've neglected their own inner development. Their character, personality, and values. These are the things that truly matter and show up on the outside. But instead, you see women who are entitled, ungrateful, and self-centered, expecting a man to grant their every wish for life without giving anything meaningful in return.
It's the rude awakening that men have needed for thousands of years.
I have 4 big things to say about this, but first of all, I'm not quite sure where this belief came from that if more women divorce their husbands, that these men are just going to believe that it was all their fault and they're going to grow and get better. No, there's never just fault on one side, and men know that. Second of all, most men that go through divorce end up losing a lot in the form of lost time with their children and financially through spousal support and child support. So many men just feel victimized by the court system. Thirdly, a lot of these these men that get put through the ringer, they eventually build themselves back and they realize that they're a lot happier being single. It's actually a lot more peaceful for them. And fourthly and lastly, a lot of men never want to get married again, or in the first place, because they hear women like this talking about divorce as if it's some sort of punishment for her not being happy, as if his needs and the family's needs have nothing to do with it. And men are smarter than that.
Hating your husband? No, I don't think I will, for multiple reasons. Well, first of all, normalizing consistent feelings of hatred towards someone is called Stockholm Syndrome. And to be clear, you're not supposed to have that. It's definitely true that probably every person who's been married or in a long-term relationship has had a moment where they're like, oh my God, I could wring this person's neck. The difference is whether they handle that issue privately or publicly. Because when those feelings are dealt with privately, it can be worked through. But if you let that hatred be shown to the general public for even 1 minute, it will change how they view your spouse forever. So before you get too cozy marinating in and justifying holding on to one of the worst, most self-sabotaging feelings you could possibly have toward a person who I'm sure if you heard them say that they hated you, you would be crying in fetal position on the floor, just remember you can't put that toothpaste back.
Here's the truth about the life of a single man. You've got freedom. You've got time to work on yourself, hit the gym, start your own business, and focus on your success. You can travel, meet friends, have a good nightlife, date women, and most importantly, live without the stress of being tied down to a modern woman. Now compare that to a married man's life. No time for anything, constantly being told you're not enough, living in misery, not even able to see your friends or hit the gym. All because you're dealing with an insecure, clingy modern woman who holds you back. That's the reality men are waking up to. Stay free. Stay focused.
100%.
What percentage of modern women are marriage material?
90%.
25%, really? Okay, maybe like I'd say like 75.
75, okay. What does it mean to be marriage material?
I think it just means to like if you love your man enough and like you respect each other on like a personal and emotional level.
You have to have the person that you want to love and be with for the rest of your life. That's it. That's all that matters.
Not cheating, that's a big one.
I think just as long as you like genuinely love the person you're with, you can.
Let's be real. How many modern women are actually marriage material? Modern women dread their own life cycle and that ticking biological clock, and it's a major driver behind their relationship and mating decisions. Men, on the other hand, reach their prime years later and for a much longer period. For women, their prime is from 18 to 22. That's when they're at the top of the market, most alluring, and can get with just about any guy they want. But once those prime years pass, the game changes. And that's where the reality hits.
What is gained by no-fault divorce? What's the good of that?
Oh, there's a bunch of good when it comes to no-fault divorce. Previously, when we had fault divorce, people would literally have to like lie or commit vices in order to be able to get divorced. So whether it was like...
Why don't they just not get divorced though, if there's no fault?
The problem is if they decide to like not get divorced, usually that leads to like higher rates of unhappiness. It leads to people having like more tension within their marriage. It prevents... Well, yeah, there is tension.
Does it? I don't know. I'm not convinced of that.
Well, we can look at people who reportedly stay in marriages where they're unhappy and like the long-term effects of that, even like psychologically, health-wise. We can look at abusive relationships, situationships where the woman feels like she can't leave, even in an era of...
Here's the reality. Women today lose respect and attraction for men who commit to them, especially in Western culture. Why? Because the moment a man steps up and gives them what they claim to want, these women suddenly start playing games with every other guy out there. Yet they always come back to the man who won't commit, the one who doesn't care about their drama. Most men have had enough of these double standards. Women said they didn't need us, so we decided to leave them to handle life on their own. The truth is, men are now getting passports, finding traditional supportive women in other countries who actually value their man, their family, and what it means to build a life together. Let's be real. Women today want everything handed to them, but offer little in return. They want the high life without any sacrifice. And guys, don't get fooled into believing you have to take the used-up leftovers of the dating market when there are plenty of high-value women elsewhere who are ready to build with you. The sad truth is, women have been conditioned to believe they can wait till 35 or 55, and the same results will happen as if they were 20 and at their peak. Guess what? That ship has sailed, and now they're left angry, wondering why men don't want to stick around for their loud, disrespectful, delusional selves. Men have wised up. We've caught on. And we're no longer here to be used or manipulated. No more running around trying to please women who bring nothing but drama and turmoil into our lives. We're focused on our peace, our mission, and our own path. If women want to join us, they better bring more than just demands. They need to bring respect, support, and value to the table. This is the new game, and if you're not playing it smart, you're out.